Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Simone. I'm the camp director at Eden Village. It's so good to see so many faces. It's my first week back from maternity leave, and I'm like just so excited to jump in and to meet all of you and to start getting ready for camp with you. I'm going up in 2 weeks. Uh, so we're starting to think about packing and stuff like that here. This is like a call to help us all get ready for camp. And it's not directed at campers. This is like more directed towards the parents. The campers there, it's okay. But just so you know, I'm going to be talking primarily to parents, and we'll have other calls where we're talking to campers as we move through it. I've got a special PowerPoint, but also with me is Johanna, our assistant director. I'll let her say hi.
Hi. So good to see some familiar faces, new faces.
And then also Zoe, who is our lead social worker at Eden Village. Zoe, do you want to say hi?
Hey, parents.
Amazing. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Johanna, will you pull up that PowerPoint? How to be a first-time parent at Eden Village. Maybe you've already been a parent at summer camp, but we're just gonna let you know all of the things that you can expect and your kid can expect as you start this camp journey together. And we're going to talk about strategies to support your kid. And we really want to make sure that their expectations are in alignment with what's actually happening and that there's no surprises. We want this to feel like, oh, yeah, I totally expected this. I understand what's happening. I've thought about all of this already. And we want that for the camper, but we also want that for you. So we're going to try to go through as much as we can. And then also wanted to let you know that we're having another webinar for the whole camp community. This one is just for first time parents at Eden Village. There's over 100 of you this year. So nobody, you're not alone, and we're going to walk you through it. And then later on, as we get a little closer to camp, we're going to start, we'll answer some more general questions. So we're going to be talking about setting expectations, intentions, and then we're also going to have a chunk of time at the end for y'all to ask questions. You can type them in. You can raise your little emoji hand or whatever. We'll go through it. Okay. Next slide, Johanna. Okay, well, the first thing that I wanted to tell you is that we're gonna love your kid up when they get to camp, and we have been preparing for them, and we're really excited. So the first thing that we do is we have an amazing staff training, which is actually the thing that I feel like it's one of the things that I'm most proud of at Eden Village is we spend like 9 days setting culture. A lot of other camps are like, putting things together, and camp is ready. Like by the time the staff come, we've already prepared it. And when the staff come, we're really just focused on like, how can we make this the most wonderful experience for everybody? How can we make every camper's life more wonderful while they're here? We do things like nonviolent communication, socialization cycles, lots of different programs that can really help us go deep into what we're doing here. We also train our staff differently for different ages. So, for our younger campers, we're going to be focusing on like some of the practical parts of camp that they might need help with, like making sure that everybody knows how to make their bed, or making sure they brush their teeth, or like checking in that they've used the bathroom. And for our older campers, we're focused on like social dynamics and things like that. I mean, of course, we focus on both things in both places, but there's just different emphasis depending on how old they are. And when your camper gets to camp, we have like a 3-day like intensive bonding curriculum. Like there is not a moment where your camper is going to be like, where should I sit? Like we're going to tell them, like, who should I talk to? We'll tell them, what should I talk about? Like we're going to help those conversations happen. We're going to prep them with questions. And we do this because we just don't want anybody in the beginning to be like, do I belong here? Like the answer is yes, you belong here. And here's how we're building community. And we want to make sure that everybody feels like super involved and invested. Also, Love Squad is going to be there. That's our social work team that Zoe heads, and they're going to be really involved with the counselors and the campers in those first 3 days, making sure that everything's running smoothly. We've got so many, also in the first 3 days, we really curate our food. So like the first meal is like a baked ziti. They should know that. Like the first meal you're gonna have is baked ziti. And there's like a gluten-free version and a vegan version and a gluten-free vegan version. There's also gonna be a salad bar. There's watermelon popsicles that we make from scratch for dessert. Like, these are things that they can know to expect and like just relax into, no surprises on the first day. And then we also, your kid is welcome exactly as they are. I think that goes without saying, but we are really cultivating an identity affirming culture, and like whoever they show up as, we are gonna celebrate them and love them and just feel so excited to know them in a deep way. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about how we're going to set some expectations. We're gonna do so many fun things at camp. It's going to our schedule is like so amazing, and we know what the evening activities are gonna be, and there are gonna be hard things that come up as you're making your way into camp too. And we always say at camp that like nervous and excited is they're very, very similar feelings, and it's totally normal and expected that a new camper is going to be nervous and excited. And they might be nervous about and excited about the same things, or might be nervous about, how am I going to eat? Like, what's sleeping going to be like? And excited for like the activities. Like, all of these feelings are just like totally normal, and we want to normalize that for them. We want them to expect like the nervousness, and that doesn't have to be bad. It's like, are you nervous about missing home? Of course you're gonna miss home. You love home. Home is a place that's like so important to you, and I'm so excited for you to have this experience at camp. It doesn't have to be bad to have anxiety about something new that you're coming into and something that you
I
don't
want
know
to name
much.
also that these feelings are normal for parents too. We're sending our kids off into a really big new moment, and we probably all feel really excited for them to have this experience, and also maybe a little nervous about what their experience is going to be like, or what it's going to be like for us when our campers are away from home. So that's, acknowledging our feelings as we're having these conversations with our children can be really helpful.
Thanks, Johanna. Yeah. So we want to give you all of the tools to know what's going to be happening at camp. Like we have our daily schedule that like we're going to send to you, so that and your camper is going to know, and you can discuss like in detail, like okay, so what do you think breakfast is going to be like? Like, what do you think how's this going to feel for you? And our what we've noticed works the best is for you to just like go through like all of the expectations of camp and really like listen for any anxiety or nervousness that your campers have, and like totally validate it. We don't want you to project your own worries onto them and they'd be like, oh, like I'm nervous about bedtime. And for you to say like, yeah, I'm nervous about bedtime for you too. And like 15 minutes of flashlight time, like that's nothing. Like, what if you can't fall asleep? Like that's gonna be intense. Like that's we want to like avoid that. We want you to know that we've seen campers, thousands of campers thrive in this setting. I've seen it for like 13 years. Like, it's gonna work, and your camper can do it. And we're gonna be partnering with you. And please, and be be mindful of like that you and your kid are two different humans and probably have different anxieties about camp. And just let's just focus on their anxieties, and then we can help you work through yours too. Call us anytime. We want to talk about it with you.
And it might surprise
Okay.
you what your child is really aware of, and what they want to talk about, and letting them direct this conversation can be really helpful for them feeling confident going into the summer.
Totally. So here's like a good formula that we have for when like camp anxieties come up. We want to acknowledge their feelings. I hear that you're nervous about bedtime, and that is totally normal and makes so much sense. We have like a whole way that we do bedtime at home, and it's gonna be different at camp. Um, and and this is like the most important thing, like I 100% know you can do it. And we want you to really like internalize that and know that like they can do this and you can do this. And letting them know that like that's normal, and I know you're going to get through it. I know you're going to figure this out. I know that you're going to figure out something to eat, and I know that there are going to be people there to help you, and there are. We've got, so we have 160 staff hired, which is a lot of people that are coming together to make this experience. We hire a ton of people because we really want to be there for them and for you through this moment. Um, One thing that we want to caution against, and this is like a really easy thing to do, is saying like, oh my gosh, like, and if it's hard, like I will come pick you up. Like, of course you will. Like, of course, like if it's too hard, you'll come pick them up. But saying that it's not a great way for the camper to prepare, because they'll just be counting down the days until you can come pick them up. We want them to go in knowing that they're going to be there for the whole session, and that they can do this, and that yes, it's going to be hard, and that they can do this, and that we know they can do this, and they're confident in themselves. Don't tell
And
them they
one
can't.
thing about, setting the expectation that your child's going to stay for the whole session that they're signed up for at camp is that sometimes, there can be a day or two that are hard, and that they're going to need extra support. And we're going to be there and helping them work through it. We're going to be communicating with you about what's going on for your child, and getting through that to the other side, and like making it through the hard moments to the awesome moments can feel like a huge, huge victory for kids. And we want to help them get to that. If they know that they like have an out, that they like are thinking about, well, maybe I could just go home, that's gonna make it much harder to persevere when things, when things come up.
Yeah, and this is how we build resilience. Like we go through hard thing and we come out the other side. And we're not saying that camp is going to be all hard. It's going to be like mostly awesome. And like there for sure, like I think the next slide go to the next slide, Johanna. Oh, it doesn't say it yet, but like anyway, I'll save it. Okay, so here's a great way to start talking about camp. We found this awesome little slide from Be Well that talks about helping campers think about what they're going to do when something hard comes up. How will you advocate for yourself when you don't like the food choices, when you're feeling disconnected from the group, when you're feeling anxious about an activity? We want campers to begin to think about what they're going to do when they're in a hard moment. And we want them to name the moments that they're feeling like might be challenging, and then for y'all to brainstorm together like what might happen and what a good suggestion might be. We want them to be like confident problem solvers, and this is hard. This is hard for campers to advocate for themselves sometimes, especially for those keeper inners. There are some campers who just like, it's very normal for them to like, something's not quite right, and they're keeping it in. We're going to be watching for all of that. We're going to be watching for kids who are uncomfortable. We're going to be looking out for somebody that's sad. And we're going to get to a solution to a problem so much faster if they're able to find one person that they feel like they can share some like important things with. So we want to encourage them, like find their one person that they can be like, I'm hungry, and like dinner's not for another 3 hours. We're going to get them food. Like we're not going to let a camper be hungry. We are not, if maybe they're feeling cold at night and they need an extra blanket, and we don't want them going 2 nights like that. We want them to tell us right away, like, I'm a little bit chilly. And we're going to react. So our staff is amazing. They're trained to look out for all of this stuff, to notice like if somebody doesn't have toothpaste or they lost their brush, and they're not mind readers. So you know, if a camper can say it, it helps us create a solution much faster. And that's just a great thing to start thinking about as
And
camp
this is a
rolls off.
big piece of learning and growth for a lot of kids. You know, at home, they probably are, you know, there's one camper and one parent, and you're noticing everything that's one child, you're not there, I can't there. But you're noticing everything that's going on for them. And, you know, and maybe you're the one who's like taking those proactive steps. At camp, they can start to grow in their independence and do more self-advocacy, and starting this brainstorming process about like what are they going to do when things come up for them at camp is the first step for them feeling empowered to take the lead on their own problem solving, with of course all the support that we have at camp. So
Well, yeah, we just want to remind ourselves that like there's no experience in the world that is all good or all bad. And like camp is going to be really good, but we also don't want to set an unrealistic expectation, or like every single moment is going to be amazing. Like they're going to be in a community, and there are for sure going to be moments that they're going to need to navigate, and they might need some extra assistance, and that is totally normal. Just like in our regular lives, there are good parts of things and hard parts of things, and things you might not have chosen for yourself, and things that you are so excited to choose for yourself, and all of these things happening at once. And it's totally normal to be loving one thing at camp and be like not as enthusiastic about something else at camp. And that doesn't mean that you're not having a good experience. You are still having like an amazing, it can still be an amazing experience, even if we're holding different emotions in different moments. I think that anything worth doing is going to be hard, and is going to challenge us and push us in a way. And camp was that for me, like in my first summer for sure. Like learning how to do, I never had made this, I'd never made my bed before. I remember I had never like cut my food before. It was my first time. These are moments that are like hard and tender, and we're going to be looking out. Like we really, like we've all had these experiences at camp, and we train for them, and we're going to be looking out for them. And it's normal. It's normal to like go through hard moments as you figure out how to be more independent at camp than you are at home. And you can do it. And you can do it, parents, and they can do it. They for sure can do it. I promise you, like they're gonna come, you're gonna be amazed at like how easy they make it look and how beautiful they are. And we'll take lots of pictures.
So, okay, so that's like the framing for the conversation, right? Like, how are you going to like sit down with your child and start talking and thinking, getting them thinking about preparing for the summer? Now we're going to talk about like all the content pieces, like what to expect and like what does the day look like? And these are all the things that you can share with them. We also provided, we're not expecting you to like remember all of this. We're going to send a lot of resources to you where you can look at like the daily schedule and the swim check and all of the information. If we're talking about, you know, as we're going through the routine at camp and the general expectations for what campers are going to take more leadership on and do with some independence. If you're like, oh, I don't know if my child can do this, that's okay. We can oftentimes provide more support. We want to start that conversation now. We want to know what support needs does your child have? How can we help them be successful at camp? So please, if you hear something that raises like a concern for you, let us know. You can reach out to the Camper Care team over email, schedule a Zoom conversation with us. We have a whole camper profile form that you probably filled out. There's lots of places that we're looking to really understand individually how we can be there for each camper. Okay, so the thing for the first thing is what happens when I first get to camp, and Simone talked about this a little bit, but one important thing to know is that drop off is quick by design. So if your child, some campers will be taking a shuttle from Cherry Hill or from New York and saying goodbye to parents there. Some campers will be getting dropped off at camp. You'll be driving them, and you'll drop off their luggage at the spot for their bunk, and you will take them to meet their counselor, and you'll give a quick hug goodbye, and then their counselor is going to take them right away to go and start meeting friends and start doing lots of icebreakers and get to know you activities and having lots of fun right away.
You can expect to be in and out of camp in about 15 minutes, which I know is surprising. It is a fast drop off, and this is what we have found works like so much better for everybody's emotional state. And so a lot of times, like you can, the longer conversations you want to have, like start having those in the car. A lot of times people come a little bit early, they're sitting in the parking lot for a half hour, like that's a good time. But like once your car goes in and you close your car door, you'll be in and out very, very quickly. And your camper, before you drive out, is going to be in name games and different icebreaker games with their bunk. It happens fast, and it really, really works.
And if that's a hard moment for you, if you anticipate I might feel a little bit upset saying goodbye to my camper, that's okay. Try to, give a hug and don't draw it out, and don't let your emotions come out for your camper there. Let them, they might be feeling excited. They might be feeling sad. We want them to be able to, have their feelings there.
We don't want them to worry about you on that drop off moment. We really want to focus and center them and make that moment about them. And that's so hard. Of course, it's about you too. This is a big moment for the whole family, and if you can have the emotional moment after they've gone to their group, that's a lot better for them in terms of feeling at ease.
So your campers, like we said, are going to be meeting their bunkmates right away. We're going to be introducing them to everyone, helping them get to know names, getting to interact and have conversations with different kids. Really, the first couple of days are making sure that every kid is making connections and finding their people. After everyone's arrived, they go back to their bunk, and the counselors are going to help them. Their luggage will be there waiting for them. The counselors are going to help them unpack, get settled in, make their beds. We have lots of extra staff supporting in that moment, like our Lev Squad, our camper care team, and our specialists, our educators. So we'll make sure that everybody feels really settled in. And then they will get to learn some of the rules of camp. They'll get a tour of camp. They'll get to sign up for some of their electives for the first week. So we're really introducing them and making sure that they feel like they know where to go and what's going on. So once that's the first day. What does the normal day look like once they're once they're in camp mode? And this is really great to talk through, because this can give your camper a sense of what am I going to be responsible for? What do I need to be prepared for? And how might that be different than what I do at home? So in the morning, campers usually get up around 7:15. Their counselors will wake them up with a song or a cheer, or they'll wake them up individually, and make sure that your child knows that, at camp, it's going to be on you to get up and get out of bed. If they're at home, you're dragging them out of bed. We will help them. We will give them, lots of loving reminders and support. And it's looks different than probably how you might get them out of bed as their parent. So we want them to, be taking initiative on that. Getting up, getting dressed, putting on their clothes and their sunscreen and getting their things together for the day. These are all, pieces of the routine that counselors will cue campers on and help make sure that everybody knows what to do and what to bring with them. And it's a good opportunity for children to take the lead on these things. Everyone is also taking care of their personal hygiene and self-care at camp. So we will remind campers to brush their teeth, and we'll make sure that everybody takes a shower every day. We have a designated shower time each afternoon, evening. And if that's something that's new to your child, like being responsible for getting all the shampoo out of their hair or brushing their hair out afterwards, or making sure that they're brushing their teeth for a full, 2 minutes and not enough time. These are great things to start practicing at home now to make sure that they feel confident coming into camp. At meals, there's lots of different food options. There's a salad bar. There's always, a main course and the equivalent vegan and gluten-free option. And counselors will make sure that campers know, what the options are, and that if they, a camper needs help, finding something that they're interested in eating, that is important that they let their counselor know. And so we can help them, figure out, well, let's look at all the options on the salad bar together and find something that sounds good to you. We also have, at meals, we take medication. If that's something that your camper has medication, make sure that they know how to swallow that pill, and that they're prepared for that.
Or that they know that they're taking it. Like, hey, at breakfast, you'll be taking 2 pills, just so you know. And one of them's the vitamin and one of them's the whatever it is. They should know kind of what to expect. So they're not like, wait, what is this? That's also helpful.
Or if they have a medication that's as needed, like they have allergy medicine that's available, if they need it, then make sure that they know they can go to the nurse table at a meal and say, hey, I feel like I need my allergy medicine today.
Or if they need it at a different time, they'll know where the health center is, but let them know you don't need to suffer. You should never be suffering. If you need something, go and get it. That, just tell a counselor and go and get it. We're going to be there for them. But again, they're not always mind readers and they don't know that they need that, Flonase or whatever.
During the day, when we're out and about at activities, our bunk rotations and hugim and all of the fun things that campers get to do, we are expecting campers to, stay with the group and participate in activities. Doesn't mean that they're going to be, everything is going to be their favorite and they have to be 100% gung-ho, but we want campers to be ready to give everything a shot, try it out, participate with the group, follow directions, and be kind to everyone who they're interacting with. This helps us not only make camp really fun for them, but also make it a great experience for everyone there. Organizing your space and keeping track of belongings. I mentioned we're going to help campers unpack, help them if they lose track of anything. We have a lost and found. We'll help them look for things, make sure that you label everything that you send to camp. And if your child has trouble with this at home, that's a great thing to think about before they come to camp for the summer. Let's make a plan about how you're going to keep track of your clothes, how you're going to put them away. Let's make a plan of what you're going to need in your backpack. Start thinking about these things so that your child is prepared.
This is one of the hardest things for me and still is, but water bottle, always losing my water bottle. You can ask your camper, do you want to put a strap on this? Would that be helpful? Do you want to carry a backpack around camp? every day to have your water bottle and like other things you need in? Would that be helpful? Like start brainstorming with them. Like they're going to want things throughout the day. Like how do they want to navigate that? Do you want them to have sunscreen in their backpack at all times? Like, or like is applying it in the morning and then again at 5:30, is that enough? Like, you can have these conversations with them now.
And make sure that they know that if they need help finding things, like tell their counselor. They don't have to go searching all around camp all by themselves. And of course, we can provide, if they like are missing a water bottle, we have extra in the office. We'll make sure that they have what they need. And then bedtime, actually, we want to talk about a little bit more in depth, because this is a moment that can look really different than at home, and can be something that kids are nervous about sometimes. Do you want to talk about that, Simone?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So what happens is that everybody comes back to the bunk, and we have every bunk is different, but there's some sort of night ritual. So they're going to be brushing their teeth. They're going to be putting the toothpaste on their toothbrush by themselves, and they're going to be rinsing off their toothbrush. Like I would just look over and watch them and make sure that this is something that like they feel comfortable doing on their own. We're going to organize them in the bathroom. They're each going to have a hook for their towel and for like their little bathroom caddy with like all of their stuff. And we also give everybody like a little like bucket that they can put their toothbrush and toothpaste and stuff that they use at night there. There's a little bunk ritual, like maybe they're going to go around and say like their favorite parts of the day, or sing a song, or read a chapter of a book that they've been reading together. And then there's flashlight time. So there's about 15 minutes of flashlight time every night. And campers typically like read, or some people write in their journals or write letters, something like that. And then it's lights off. Now, it's not like totally dark. The light in the bathroom stays on, and it stays on all night. So there's always like a little bit of light in there. But we do ask that everybody turn off their flashlights at the same time, so not like distract other kids from being able to go to sleep. And that's also something that you can start to think about with your camper. Like, okay, you're going to have 15 minutes before bed. And what do you think you might want to do during that time? Bedtime is different times for each age group, but it starts at 8:45 and goes till 10, like in 15-minute increments, depending on the age. And there's always somebody in the bunk. So all of the counselors will be there to put them to bed. And then once they're sleeping, there's at least one person in there, and our staff curfew is 11:45. So there's always somebody there for them. If they're having a hard time sleeping, they can let them know. But this can be like an emotional time, especially in the first few days as you're getting used to a new ritual and figuring out your flow. And then what we've noticed is like after the first 3 days, like after they've done it 3 times, it goes like it's smooth. Like people know what they're doing. They're in their flow. It feels good. So anyway, yeah, talking about that time ahead of time, if that's going to be something that's
And if
comes
your
up for your
child
campers, great.
is used to falling asleep with music or a podcast or meditation app, something like that, they're not going to have that at camp because we don't have devices. So start practicing now of how does it feel to, wind down in a different way, maybe with a book or with journaling or drawing. Are there other things that they can help them feel comfortable, like having a stuffed animal, or a book that they love, that, if they are, just know that we don't want it to be a surprise. Like we've seen campers can be, can really adapt to this, but we want them to know that it's coming.
Something that's like unique about camp also is that the days are so action packed that most people just fall right asleep. Like even if they have a hard time falling asleep at home, like it's they've been up all day. They have been in activity after activity after activity, and they are tired. And the sleep feels good.
Okay, I'm seeing
I'm
some
seeing,
questions. I'm gonna just, I know we want to make sure that we have a lot, that we like get to a couple more things, and we'll come back to some of these really good questions.
ooh, but I will say that like one thing that someone said, can we bring a battery powered fan? Or like, yes, like that's if that's something that your kid would enjoy, like for sure, that's also like a big thing, like that people like that. And it also helps with noise, like near their bunk, like they can just listen to the fan. And yes,
They can
and it's
bring
better to be batteries than plug-in.
and they can bring their own loveys and stuffies, as many as they can fit on their bed. And they can bring family photos. And yes, we want them to like make this space of their bunk a place that they like feels really comfortable for them. So missing home comes up particularly in the evenings sometimes because like there's so much happening and you're having so much fun all day. And then at night, it's like a quiet moment where you like start to think about, you know, you're like be in touch with, all of those feelings and your thoughts. And that can bring up sometimes feelings of missing home. So that's something that's like really normal and okay. As someone said, it often is strongest in the first couple of days. It can also come up, you might get a letter that says from your camper that says that they're missing home. And oftentimes that's because they're writing letters at rest, which is another like quiet time where they're back in the bunk in the middle of the day. And that's when they start to think about, oh my gosh, I miss home. Not when they're like having fun out at camp with all their friends and doing awesome activities, but like when they're writing a letter, that's when they are aware of like all those, feelings that are also there. So we try to help campers focus on the exciting things that are happening, their fun activities and new friends, and like really affirm that they can miss home at the same time. That's totally normal. It just means that they love their family and their home and their pets and everything there. And they can also be having a great time at camp. Like this is a really make sure that your child, knows this coming in, that they can feel two things at once. And if they want to talk about how they're feeling, it's great for them to know who to go to. And that is their counselors who are always there for them, and who they'll really build deep relationships with. And there's even more, there's a really big support system for them at camp. There's also their tribe leader, who's like the unit head, and they'll really get to know and will lead all kinds of amazing activities for them. There's the Lev Squad, which is our camper care team, and each tribe has a Lev Squatter who like is embedded in the group, and the kids will really get to know and will spend lots of time with their bunks. And we want your children to feel comfortable talking to these people anytime, all the time. We want to know if anything is coming up for them, like if they have big feelings, if they need help with something, if they're hungry, if they need another blanket, if they are having an awesome day, if they are not having an awesome day, they should talk to their counselors and their tribe leader and Lev Squad. We don't want to wait. We won't want them to wait until problems become really big, because oftentimes things are a really easy fix. Like we want them to help them solve anything that's coming up at camp.
And also, like if you have one of like if your kid is like a holder in, or like our staff are really going to know your campers very, very well. They're going to be spending like so, all of the hours in the day together. And they're going to notice also if something's like a little bit off. And if we feel like it's like and it needs more attention than just like a sweet check-in, like we'll call you and talk about it. But like they're gonna notice. They're for sure gonna notice also.
Yeah. Sometimes, just because your child is really used to talking to you about what's going on for them, they'll like write a letter home that says, I am cold at night and I need another blanket. And in the meantime, they're not saying anything to anyone else, and we could have gotten them a blanket. And so just for them to like understand that they can talk to their counselor about that and we'll help them right away. They don't need to like write a letter to you and then you tell us, because it just takes so much longer to get things to where they should be. So Another thing that campers often have that questions about, and that's really good to like prepare them for before the start of the summer, is how are you going to be in touch? How are they going to be in touch with you, with their parents? So we have letter writing home day twice a week. You'll hear from your camper at least twice a week. They can write home anytime they want, but at least on Mondays and Thursdays. And there's a couple different ways to be in touch. You can send snail mail letters, and please send your camper with stamped pre-addressed envelopes so that they make sure the letters are going to the right place and not just written on their mom and dad. And if your child's not a big writer, we have some really cool fill in the blank letter templates here, which we're going to share with you. That could be a great way to have them share without having to like think of everything to say themselves. We also have a digital letter system called Camp Stamps, and this is great to explain to your camper in advance if you're planning on using it. It's a special stationery where they can write you a letter, and we scan it in, and you get it via email, and it's a much faster turnaround. And then you can email them back, and we'll print it out. We have a full explainer about like how this works on our knowledge base that we'll share with you. But if you're gonna send camp stamps for your camper, make sure that you tell them like, it's this digital thing. You write a letter here in blue or black ink. It's not in color. And when you're emailing them back, just note that it can't print out special characters, that non-English characters like Hebrew or Russian or emojis, unfortunately. We don't send packages at camp. We just don't want there to be an environment or like a vibe of have and have nots. If one camper gets a really awesome care package and somebody else doesn't, that's not setting up the kind of environment that we want in the bunks. So if your camper forgets something essential at home and you're like, I need to mail them sunscreen, that's fine. We are going to be opening all packages that come to camp just to make sure that they comply with our no package policy. And there's also more details about this in our knowledge base in our help center. If your camper needs like more reading material, that's something you can send to them. You can of course send them letters and anything in like a flat envelope. Yeah, sorry, just trying to move through this. Okay, another thing that campers have questions about before they come for the summer is the swim check. It's not a swim test, but in the first couple of days at some point, your camper will have the option to do a swim check, and we list like in the knowledge base the specific skills that they will be asked to demonstrate. And they'll just be assigned to be either a shallow water swimmer or a deep water swimmer. And both groups can go in the pool, go in the lake. There's just different boats and areas available. And they can recheck at any time that they want. They don't have to take do the swim check on the first day if they aren't feeling excited about it. They can come back the next day and say, hey, I want to try the swim check. They can try it at any time and as many times as they want. And we do offer swim lessons for our youngest campers entering 3rd through 6th grade. They'll have swim lessons assigned about once a week. If you want to sign up your child for more swim lessons, there's a form in your Camp in Touch account where you can do that. For older campers, swim lessons are an option as an elective. Okay. That was a lot of content. We're going to share all of this with you. You don't need to remember it. Zoe just put our knowledge base in the chat, and we're going to link to a lot of these specific things that we mentioned. And those are just some of the things that, your camper might have these questions. And if you can share a little bit about what to expect, that might help them feel more comfortable. If they have questions that you don't know the answer to, we're here, and we are so happy to talk with you and talk with your children.
So that's all that we have for today. We've got another webinar coming up. We're available. We'll stay on for a while to answer any questions that y'all have, if you have them. And otherwise, we just want you to know that your camper can do this. It's a big deal and they can totally do it and you can do it too. And we just want to be the most supportive that we can. So ask us questions and reach out to us. And I saw someone was curious about if we're still doing tours. We are. You can still totally visit camp before camp starts.
All right, so you'll get an email in the following days with the recording of this session, with our contact information for our camper care team, with a full list of like all of the different skills for independence that we mentioned to work on in preparation for camp, with our daily schedule video where Simone explains it really in depth, all of these details. So let's get, in the meantime,
I'm just going to start answering some of these
questions.
questions that are in the chat. So yeah, great. So meals, someone asked, are meals a buffet or family style? Do they sit with their bunk for dinner? So we have breakfast and lunch are family style. They're at tables in the dining hall. And then dinner is kind of like, it's outside, it's like festival vibes, and it's a big buffet. They'll still eat with their bunk so that our counselors can watch and make sure that they're eating and make sure that they're not having a hard time finding food or if they have allergies or anything. But after that, like after they're done, they just like get up and play. So there's like different Gaga is like really big during this time. I see a lot of gymnastics happening. I see people just like making up songs and hanging out. And then there's also normally like a band that's playing too, just really a sweet vibe. So that's buffet. And then the other two are family style. And they're eating with their bunks like always, so that we can keep track and make sure that there are people who know them watching and making sure that they're getting enough to eat. How many kids per bunk? Our average is 12, could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. Always 3 counselors in the bunk with the campers. And per tribe, it kind of varies, but it's like about three bunks per tribe. Are bug bites an issue? That's such a great question. I guess for some people, I don't get bitten. I've seen some bites, but it's like really not like, it's not like, I live in Philadelphia and like what I hear about mosquitoes here is like very intense, and we don't have that up there, interestingly. They don't come out at full force during dinner. It doesn't feel like that at all. But like if you kid wants bug spray, like for sure, they can use it if that's something that they want.
We do recommend bug spray. We do really recommend bug spray for if your camper is going to go into the woods for our wilderness activities. If you've given permission for that, for them to go into the woods for like electives or for forest day, then they should definitely wear bug spray and bring bug spray for them.
We have lots of over-the-counter meds at camp. On your camp forms, you can just say that like, we give permission if my camper needs this, then we'll be able to administer it to them.
The shuttles. Okay, shuttles. We are going to have shuttles from Cherry Hill, the Philadelphia area, and from Manhattan near Penn Station on the opening and closing days of our July and August sessions. So that's June 26th, July 28th, July 30th, and August 18th. You can sign up in the travel form in your camp forms. I think it wasn't up before, but now it has shuttles in there. And we will actually send a link to that with the resources from this presentation, because that was recently updated.
I see a question about our first year campers grouped together, and we will it might not be like a bunk of all first year campers, but they won't be the only first year camper. We are very intentional about the way that we put the bunks together, and we would never want them to be like the only one. And for the younger campers, it'll probably be like about half new ones.
Your child's bunk counselors. So we most of our counselors are high school or college students, ages like 18 to 21 or 22, from America, from Israel. All of our counselors are Jewish, and we think that they're really amazing, and have lots of experience with kids and lots of really, wonderful skills in all of the things that we do at Eden Village. We are really, really excited for your children to get to meet them. They're unfortunately isn't you'll get to say hi at drop off, and I know that your camper will tell you about their counselors. They always are writing home, about my counselor said this and we did this awesome activity with them. And you'll really be, if you want to be in touch with camp and find out about what's happening for your child, you'll be in touch with our camper care team. Our counselors are out there, making camp amazing with the kids. We don't want them to have to be in the office and replying to phone calls and emails. Our camper care team is on top of that and will be in touch with you. And we're getting updates from the counselors every single day about every single camper.
Question about COVID testing. We're not going to be COVID testing unless it's medically necessary, or it will change the course of what's the word that I'm looking for? Treatment that they need. Thank you. Just had a baby. It's hard for me to talk right now. The welcome process for the Aleph Bet program, it looks a little different, but also it's the same. So you're gonna a similar 15 minutes. You'll be able to meet the counselors, and then we're gonna bring the kids into camp very quickly. It's a lot smaller, but it's a very similar rhythm.
We're going to actually be, if you want to be in touch with other families whose campers might be in the same bunk or in the same tribe with your child, we are going to open very soon WhatsApp groups based on tribe and session, where you can be in touch with other parents and find out, is there anyone in your area who wants to meet up leading up to camp? And also get the wisdom and advice from returning camp families about is there a brand of sheets that you like, or should we pack this? Of course, you can ask us these questions. We are really happy to talk to you. But some, parents sometimes, other camp parents who have kids the same age have, great wisdom to share. So we are going to put you all in touch, and you'll be able to start making those connections in our WhatsApp groups really soon.
I'm seeing questions about the pickup process, especially for the shorter sessions, but I'll say for all the pickup process for everybody, it's more relaxed than the drop-off process, but it's still fast. You'll be in and out of camp probably within 45 minutes, 40 or 45 minutes. For that, that's because your camper is going to want to introduce you to their friends and to their counselors, and you'll look through the lost and found and collect all of the beautiful things that they made. And also their luggage will be in the same piles that you drop them off at on opening day. So that's gonna be happening. And again, for a shorter session, it's smaller, but it's pretty similar. The only difference is we're not going to be inviting those parents into camp if another session's going on. So it'll happen mostly in the parking lot. And that's just because it can bring up feelings of missing home for other campers if they see campers and other campers and parents reuniting and their parents aren't there yet, or guardians. So we try to keep it separate so they can stay focused on camp. So it'll happen in our parking lot, but it'll still feel very joyous, and you'll still get to meet everybody that was important to them. Did you read that all spray needs to be in non-aerosol bottles? Do we say that, Johanna? I don't think so. I've never, that would be really hard to do, I think.
We just want to make, if they have an aerosol spray, we ask that they apply it, go outside the bunk to apply it.
That's a great question. Is what happens if my kid gets sick or has a fever? And we have 3 or 4 nurses that are on camp at all times and in the health center ready to take care of your kids. So if they come to the health center, you're going to get, if it's something small, like we just gave them a Band-Aid or whatever, like, or, gave them an ice pack, you get an email saying like, hey, they got an ice pack, just so you know. And if it's something bigger, like they're sick, um, and they need, we have rooms in the health center and it's like air conditioned for them to relax in. If there's a fever, if they have a fever, we'll take care of them in the health center until they're fever free. And of course, we'll be in contact with you and letting you know what's going on, and you can be giving us advice on what we need to do, and we'll be telling you, we'll tell you everything. You're going to be our partner in that moment.
So we want to just, in respect to people's time, we want to wrap up within the hour, but you have more questions like specific to your camper or just anything that didn't get answered right now, please let us know. We'll stick around a little bit. And we are all available, me and
I'm
some
happy
others.
to stay on if you have like additional questions.
Yeah, we're all, and we are all, you can schedule calls with any of us. But thank you so much for being here. It's really great to get to share our excitement for the summer with you. And we cannot wait to welcome your kids to camp really soon. Have a good night, y'all.